Welcome to another episode of How to Create a Timesheet in PowerApps. This is part 7. So let's get started. What we'll be showing you now is how to display leave hours for a specific employee. So I'm going to insert a rectangle and another rectangle. This is going to be for the header. So we're just creating a dialog box here. Insert a label. Call it leave and or sick and vacation hours. All right, so now let's add another label. It's going to be for the employee. I have a text box for the employee. This is going to be for sick hours. And vacation hours. Copy this text box 2 times. All right. I'll make sure that these two are in the number format. I can get rid of this default text. Okay, so I have a table, or it's actually a SharePoint list that's called TBL underscore sick vacation, and it contains the employee, the sick hours, and vacation hours. And I want that displayed in this dialog box. So I'm going to select the text input for the employee. And I'm going to go to the default property. Let's zoom in so you can see. So this is a lookup function that's looking at that SharePoint list called TBL underscore sick vacation. And it's saying that if there's an item in that table, an item in the employee table in that SharePoint list that matches the item that's in the drop down for the employee, which is right here. So if you go to the employee column, Kathy Lewis is an item in that employee column. She's also appears here. So if there's a match between those two items, it will display that name right here. That's what this is doing. All right. So we can do the same thing for the sick hours. I just copy this, select sick hours. And all I have to do is change at the end here from employee to sick hours. Right? You'll see that it shows Kathy Lewis has 67 sick hours. Do the same thing for vacation. Shows Kathy Lewis has 54 vacation hours. Let's just center these two. So let's verify that. Back in our SharePoint list, Kathy Lewis has 67 sick hours, 54 vacation hours. So that's correct. Now, if we were to change to another employee, let's say Roger Smith, shows Roger Smith here with his sick and vacation hours, which is 45 and 22. Let's verify that. Roger Smith, 45 and 22. Okay? So that's how you can create the sick and vacation hours. Now all we have to do is make this into a group. So I'm going to select all these items. I'm going to go to right click, select group. I'm going to call this sick and vacation dialog box. All right. Now, just like what we did for the time entry dialog box, we need to create a variable. So let me just copy this. Let's go back to our sick and vacation dialog box group. We selected it, and we're going to go to the visible property and change it from true maybe I didn't select this. Copy, paste. Now we're going to change this so it says sick and vacation. We have a context variable. It's called sick and vacation dialog box. All right. Actually, all we need here is variable name. Sorry about that. We just need the variable name. So it should look like this. Sick and vacation dialog box. All right. Now we need to create a button that will display that dialog box. So I'm gonna move this, move this. Let's create another button. Let me zoom in a little. All right, so I'm gonna change this T to L for leave. Change the color. Let's say the purple. Zoom out. All right, so what we want to have happen is we want to, when we select the L button here for leave, we want that sick and vacation hour dialog box to show up. So I selected this button. Let's go to on select. I'm going to change this to that variable that we created, sick and vacation dialog box, right here. Okay. Let me copy that. So we've got Roger Smith. When we select L for leave, it shows Roger Smith and his sick and vacation hours. And we can select anybody in here in this list. He doesn't show up because he's not in that SharePoint list. Neither is Tony Jones. Now we need a button that will close this dialog box. So I'm gonna go insert a button. I'll just put it here. Call it close. And on select of the button, set it, the variable to false. I need to go to the visual property of the button and point to that variable. So now I have the dialog box showing the employee and their sick and vacation hours. And I can press close and it closes it. All right. So now what I want to do is I want to export the saved information as a CSV file. So let's go back to the SharePoint list. We have a table called TBL underscore time card. And this is our saved information that we have in our SharePoint list. What I want to do is export this as a CSV file, but I want to export it through the Power App. Just go back to Power Apps. So the first thing I'm going to do is let's go to Power Automate. All right, so we're in Power Automate, and I'm going to create a flow. So hit create. We want an instant cloud flow. Let's call this flow export timesheet. And I'm going to select the Power Apps V2 and hit create. All right, so the first thing I want to do is click in here, and I'm going to add an input. First input, I'm going to call it query. All right. And the second input, I'm going to call it mail to. All right. So this first input is going to be for the query that we define in our SharePoint list. And this mail to input is going to be where we send the information to. So I'm going to click on new step. I'm going to say get items, SharePoint. Site address is copy this. List item is TBL underscore time card. That's our SharePoint list. You go to show advanced right here where it says filter query. You can select it and go to dynamic content, select query. All right. Just click on new step. We said we want to send it as a CSV file. So I'm going to say CSV table. Create CSV table. Use dynamic content, select value, and go to show advanced options. Now, if we leave this as automatic, it's going to give us a CSV table with all of our columns in our SharePoint list. We don't want that. So what we want to do is define what columns get exported. So I'm going to say I want the employee column, the bill to, and then the hours. All right. So employee, go to dynamic content, find the employee value. Said bill to. And we need our hours. So we start on Monday. So Monday, so we find Monday here. Tuesday hours. Just really repetitive, but it's how you do it. Whoops. It should be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday hours, and we'll stop at Friday hour. Actually, we'll do Friday and then we'll do total hours. So Friday and total hours. All right. So now we have that. We created our CSV table. Hit save. Go to the next step. I want to send an email. So send email. I'm going to use Outlook. So right here in the to line, I'm going to select dynamic content. Whoops. What happened there? Dynamic content, mail to. The subject's going to be timesheet, export, and I need a body. So I'll say this is the attached timesheet. Let's go to show advanced options. I'm going to say you have to give the CSV a name. So I'm going to say it's going to be called timesheet.csv. And the attachment is going to be the output. All right. So we have who is it going to be sent to, the subject, the body, the name of the attachment, and the contents, the actual attachment itself. So I'm going to hit save. Remember, this is called export timesheet. Save here. Now let's go back to Power Apps. All right, so we need to create a button. Just put it here. I'll call it export. We'll select the button. Just make sure we're connected to that Power Automate flow. Need to connect to it. refresh. There it is right there. Export timesheet. Okay, so on the on click of this button, we need to say what the name of the Power App or Power Automate flow is. It's called Export Timesheet dot run. So once we have that, um, we're going to say we want the records that have this saving a record in the title column to be exported. So let's go back to Power Apps. There we go. So let's zoom in. So we have our Power Apps or Power Automate flow called Export Timesheet. We're looking at a title. Let's change this to employee. So it looks at the employee column in the SharePoint list. So if we were to run this, I'm going to save this first. Let's test it. Put some time in here for Kathy. So let's say she came in at 7. She went to lunch at 11. She came back from lunch at 12. And she left work at, let's say, 4 on Monday. So that's 10 hours. Um, we can just do that for the rest of the week. You see how it's populating here? Hit save. That has been saved. And now let's hit export. So let's see if the flow was successful. Yes, it was right here. It was successful. That means I should have an email. Just go to my email. Look at that. Timesheet export CSV file. Let's preview it. And there's Kathy Lewis's information exported to a CSV file. Are there any questions? Well, thank you for joining. And if you like the content, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you next time.